course, all caravans locks are rubbish. I mean, which is the most secure place to keep your caravan? At home or in a storage facility? Trackers are an absolute waste of money, and the insurance should be paying them and not us.
At the end of this vlog, I'll go through what we use on our caravans, but what I want to do is just spend a few minutes talking about security overall. So you've got two types of security on a caravan. Firstly, the physical devices that you bolt to the wheels and the hitch and the stays and everything else to try to stop people from stealing it. And then you've got the softer things like CRiS registration, the VIN number being etched on the windows and the chassis, tracker, and maybe even an alarm. Of course, the bad thing is none of these things really work. Well, they do. They're not guaranteed. They won't guarantee that your caravan won't be stolen. If you are a member of our Facebook group, you'll know that somebody posted a little while ago that in 1 year, in 12-month period, they had 2 caravans stolen from different storage locations. Now, this is a shock to me. One, it's obviously very bad luck, but it's also heartbreaking. The thing is with a caravan, as you'll know if you own one, they're not like a car as a possession, in my opinion anyway. They're more like your home from home. So you tow that wherever you go on holiday, and it does become an extension to your house. So having the caravan broken into or returned in a shocking state after somebody's used it and they've recovered it is kind of like having your house broken into. Now, with Touchwood, we've never had one stolen or broken into, but I can imagine that's exactly how it feels. Now, I don't want to be alarmist about this, but I just noticed that on Facebook and even in the media of recently, because staycations are very much in the news with people not being able to go abroad at the moment, so people think they're going to stay in this country. To stay in this country, they want a caravan. Caravans in short supply. Second hand, obviously the new manufacture of new caravans has also been affected. Caravans really are hot potatoes. I reckon most caravans, if not all caravans, are stolen to order. It's not a person walking past my house thinking, whoa, I fancy that caravan, and trying to steal it, whereas cars might well be stolen that way, or certainly motorbikes and stuff like that. But with a caravan, I think it's more of a thought out process. So they've looked, they've worked out how they're going to steal it, they've got the tools, and they've gone there to take it. Now, we had really one weird experience a couple of years ago. 2 days before we were spending a month in France, we had the caravan on the drive, locks on. So I had a knock on the door. Some guy, I opened the door, he said,
"Do you want to sell your car, mate?"
It was a random thing to do. No.
Oh, okay, sorry to trouble you. Sorry.
And off he went. So we're back indoors and we're thinking about, why would somebody do that? You do a quick Google and of course somebody says that happened to them and they had the caravan stolen like 2 days later. We thought, we're going to France for a month in 2 days. So what we did was our drive's fairly short. It's just about long enough for the caravan and maybe put a car in like sideways. So what we did, we put Mandy's car behind the caravan, hoping that, and then mine beside it, so it was boxed in with cars. But it's really worrying, and it did keep us awake for a couple of nights. I looked in 2015, 1,200 caravans were stolen, and that was like month on month up, kind of for August and July. It was maybe up 100% from the previous year. So can only imagine now, 5 years later, that, like I say about Facebook, the amount of times you see, if you're on Facebook groups, the amount of times you see somebody saying that they had their caravan stolen. That makes you wonder where it's best to keep it. I know not everyone can keep it on the drive, but is it safer on your drive or safer in a secure compound? I never really hear about dealers getting caravans stolen. So do they have more security than the lockups? I think more and more you're getting people like coming across fields. I mean, this is where Google Earth plays into their hands. You could have a look where a storage facility is, how you best way to get in and out, and 4x4 across the field, cut through all the security, and off you go with the caravan. I mean, they can probably do it in about 5 minutes, in and out. So how do you go about securing your caravan? There's hard locks, like wheel locks, Alco hitch locks, wheel clamps, stuff like that. And there's also the soft, like CRiS registration, Vin Chip, and things like Caravan ID. I'll cover those in a second.
Of course, all caravan locks are rubbish. I mean, which is the most secure place to keep your caravan? At home or in a storage facility?
Start first with the CRiS registration document. Now, this is very similar to a car registration of logbook V5C, but it's not a government scheme. It's a privately run scheme by the NCC. So basically, you get a document with your CRiS number, or I think other people know it also as a VIN number. Now, from a new caravan, these numbers are etched on the windows. For the last few years, definitely, I can't remember the exact year that they started, but you can get retro kit. So manufacturers etch the number on the window. Also, I noticed on the Swift that we're getting, it's on the chassis as well, windows and chassis, and you get another kind of warning sticker, I think, that goes in the gas locker. So there's also something called Vin Chip, which I think new caravans come with, or at least the Swift does. It's a RFID chip that's hidden somewhere on the caravan, kind of like the tracker. But what this allows police to do, or anybody that's got a reader actually, is to scan the caravan and it should tell you the VIN number, I believe. Also, there's Caravan ID. I think this is a relatively new thing, and I think there are other schemes. Now, I mention that because I know a couple of vloggers that have done reviews on it. So it's basically a kind of a number, you know, like the police get these numbers on their roofs, and so that the helicopters can identify, and that's a helicopter by the way, so that helicopters can identify the police vehicle, because you can't see number plates. That's it. It's kind of like that, but you have it on the roof or the back of the caravan. So that's another method. It's got an online database where you can register who you are. You can also register if it's been stolen. So I suppose the theory is if the police are behind a caravan with this number on, they can check the database and realise it's been flagged stolen, then pull the vehicle over, and you get your caravan returned that way. And then of course there's the last soft thing is the tracker. Tracker's an interesting dilemma, I think, for people. Now, I've always had a tracker and kept the subscription up. However, I've noticed a few people have kind of suggested that they probably wouldn't want the caravan back if it got stolen, which I think's a fair comment, because you think, oh, that'd be great, because when you get it back, it won't probably be in the same condition that it got stolen in. It certainly wouldn't have any of your personal belongings that are in there. So I think I don't know what to do yet with the Swift, because if it's free for the first year or 3 years, etc., but it's not cheap, and you don't get mega discounts on insurance for having it.
Of course, all caravan locks are rubbish. Which is the most secure place to keep your caravan, at home or in a storage facility?
Similarly, onto the harder side of security, like with locks and stuff. So I've got a list here. There's a load of kind of things you can have on the caravan. I like to weigh up between what I think is really secure and also what's easier to put on and off. So you've got hitch locks, wheel clamps, wheel locks, or the chassis locks, alarms and trackers, we've covered that already. Locking wheel nuts, that might be an interesting one. Anchor devices, so like having a physical post behind your caravan so it can't be moved. There's also an interesting one that someone on Facebook mentioned, where you take your wheels off and put these kind of plates. I'll put a picture of it. Someone put these plates on so that it makes it a bit more difficult to steal. Like if it hasn't got wheels on, it's another hurdle that they've got to overcome. I suppose the same way it could be like you take all the wheels off and take off the jockey wheel. I mean, you know, it then becomes a bit more of a pain to use. And then corner steady locks as well. I mean, so there's a lot more other. So you could spend a small fortune on security devices, which basically aren't going to stop your caravan being stolen. But you're going to have to do it if you want to get it insured. What I'll do, I'll tell you what locks we've got. So I have the Nemesis Ultra on the wheels, on one wheel, sorry, and then I have the Alco hitch lock on the front. So they're the two devices I use. Now, I've often thought about getting corner steady locks and maybe another wheel lock, but what I'm conscious of is I don't want it to interfere with me enjoying my holiday. Like with the Alco wheel locks, I used to dread going because I'd have to take them off when we got on site. I'd have to put them on. So there you go. That's pretty much caravan security in a nutshell. As Shaw Taylor used to say, I don't know what he used to say. Be careful out there. I don't know. Sleep tight. Sleep with one eye open. Whatever. Don't worry too much about it. That's it. Thanks for watching. Thumbs up if you enjoyed it. See you in the next one.
It's alright.
It's Caravan Vlog.
This is quality caravan vlogging.